Hello, today we will talk about simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. Sentences are classified according to the number and kinds of clauses they contain. There are four types: simple, compound, complex, compound complex. Before we look at each one of these more closely, we need to know what a clause is and the difference between an independent and a subordinating or dependent clause. So, what is a clause? A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. A subject is a person or thing that is doing something or being something. Like, this man is meditating. The subject performs the verb. A verb is the action word in a sentence. In the sentence, the man is meditating. Meditating is the verb. The relationship between the subject and the verb is crucial. A clause conveys information about what that subject is or is doing, rather than simply being a random grouping of words. Don't confuse a clause with a phrase. A phrase is a group or pairing of words in English. A phrase can be short or long, but it does not include the subject-verb pairing necessary to make a clause. Some examples of phrases include after the meal, which is a prepositional phrase, the nice neighbor, which is a noun phrase. A phrase can be a part of a clause or a part of a sentence. Clauses are divided into two types: an independent clause and a dependent clause, which is also known as a subordinating clause. The independent clause and the dependent clause both contain a subject and a verb. The difference between the independent and dependent clauses are as follows. An independent clause can be a complete sentence, that is, it can stand on its own, or it can be a part of a sentence. A dependent clause cannot be a complete sentence, that is, it cannot stand on its own. A dependent clause can only be a part of a sentence. Dependent clauses must begin with either a subordinate conjunction, such as because, why, while, etc., or a relative pronoun, such as who, whom, whose, which, that, etc. However, an independent clause must not begin with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. An independent clause is a complete thought, that is, it portrays a full picture of what happened or was said. However, a dependent clause don't make much sense. Its meaning is only clear when you add it to an independent clause. Now, as we know the basics, let's dive into the main topic. A simple sentence has only one independent clause and no subordinate clauses. Examples: the runner won the race easily. The mouse dotted for the safety of the nearly invisible hole under the cabinet. Note that if a simple sentence includes a list, then before the last item in the list, you use and. For example, Cindy is going to the grocery store to buy milk, eggs, and bread. Also note that if the simple sentence includes two or more possibilities or alternatives, then it is connected with the word or. For example, you have the choice of soup or salad. Do you prefer mangoes or oranges? Did you notice that this example is a question? Since a question stands alone as a clause and the meaning is clear, it is also an independent clause. A compound sentence contains two independent clauses: conjunctions for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So, join these independent clauses. You can remember these conjunctions by the acronym FANBOYS. Using commas between independent clauses is optional. Examples: the runner tried for many months, so she won the race easily. The cat was unsuccessful in its attempt to catch the mouse, and the mouse was equally as lucky in its attempt to get the cheese. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. The dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. Here's a list of the subordinating conjunction. The dependent clause can be in the beginning of the sentence or after the independent clause. A dependent clause that begins a sentence must be followed by a comma. Examples: the runner won the race easily because she trained for many months. Unless you want trouble, you should stop. A compound complex sentence is a sentence that has at least two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. The same subordinating conjunctions are used to introduce the dependent clauses. The same coordinating conjunctions or fanboys are used for joining the independent clauses. Examples: the runner won the race easily because she trained for many months, but she did not attain a personal best. Even though it seems the two were bent on the other's destruction, the cat and mouse were rather fond of one another, and neither wanted the other's defeat. Thank you for watching Studimation, animated educational videos.